Hey there, how's it going? It's Sneb again, and you know what we're doing today? Another Dragons End challenge. This time, we're doing Elementalists. So we have over 50 Elementalists in this map. I think, I always forget, but I think it was like 54 of us are Elementalists. Maybe a bit more. Maybe there's like 7 in the other squad. So I have, what, 49 in the squad right now, and then there's usually an overflow of about 6 to 10 in the other one. So somewhere 54, 55, something like that. Now, you're going to notice that our strategy is, well, fairly similar to the other classes. We wanted 1 support, though, in all of these. Whereas in the Necromancer one, we had 0 support. We had a few people that maybe they only had, like, hybrid Scourge. But this one, we have some pure healers, or some people that are at least playing Selly. So you'll notice there's 1 Tempest, or at least I tried to put 1 Tempest minimum in each subgroup. This was so that I could ensure that everybody had boons. So you'll notice that I'm even playing Tempest here. Rebound is actually still incredibly powerful for this strat because if you know that people are going to die, you can just smash Rebound and save their life, which was pretty fortunate. So the idea was that the Tempest provide the boons, and then I had a minimum of 1 Catalyst. Now, again, I want to reiterate that I am pulling many of these people from the Hardstuck Discord, which is a big public Discord of like 22,000 plus people. So I don't necessarily know all of these people. We're not super organized. Obviously, I'm streaming and I'm doing these YouTube videos, so people are interested in joining, and that might make the average player that joins my group slightly better than the average player you might find in open world. But I do want to reiterate that I'm not so organized that I'm like forcing people to play certain builds or anything like that. I have suggested, for example, that if you're playing Catalyst, that you bring at least some quickness, but I can't necessarily control that. So at the beginning I said, hey, if you're playing Catalyst, I'm just going to assume that you'll bring maybe a little bit of quickness, and then I'm going to spread you all out. So there's a lot of Catalysts in this group. Hopefully some of them are playing quickness, and I think they were, because our quickness uptime was pretty good. Anybody that was playing Weaver, I just assumed that they were playing like full glass cannon, because I'm pretty sure Weaver doesn't do much else. And again, the Tempest for the healers. So I spread all this out in subgroups to try to maximize the boon output everywhere. And then from there, I just said, all right, let's do this thing. And here we are. Here we find ourselves with this challenge. Now, I will say, spoiler alert, this one was not as easy as the Necromancer one, or, well, the Mesmer one that I have yet to upload, but people are really interested in. The Mesmer one was very good as well. But this one was, I think, tougher because, you know, when you don't have Alacrity and you're playing Elementalist, it feels kind of bad. For those that are maybe somewhat new to the game, what Alacrity does is it reduces the skill recharge on your skills. So if you look at my skill bar right now, if you look above the 2 and 3 skills on my weapon set, you'll see that I have all the elements. When you play Elementalist, those you can swap between your elements. And if you don't have Alacrity, it takes longer to swap between your elements. Like, takes longer for them to recharge, right? So you can see right now my water is recharging at like 8 seconds or something. Well, Alacrity, I'm gonna butcher this because it's off the top of my head, but I think Alacrity reduces skill recharge by 25%. So if you don't have that, well, you know, it's just gonna take a bit longer. Alacrity is very good. So any of these challenge runs we do without either quickness or Alacrity, or in some cases both, we're gonna have a bad time. Like, it's gonna be just a little bit more difficult. Now, thankfully, when you're doing Dragon's End, if you go around and you get all of those, what are they called? You use your Jade Bot and you go and get those like offensive turret things. You get that buff, and that actually gives you a bunch of boons when you first go in combat. So if your burst is strong enough, it probably won't be as big of an impact. But people are roaring for me to upload the Untamed failure that we had. And let me tell you about Untamed. Untamed, they don't have quickness or Alacrity, so you're gonna have, you guessed it, a bad time. And yeah, Untamed was pretty bad because of that, but don't worry, we'll go over that in the Untamed video. For now, I want to talk about why Elementalist is really good and why, holy crap, they butchered it when they... it used to be so much better. We'll just say it like that. Okay, so Tempest. I used to play Tempest everywhere in raids because Tempest used to have some of the highest raw healing in the game. When you shout, it would heal. It would give boons to 10 people before. You had big CC on water and air. You had boon extension on Earth, and Earth 4 there, you can see it there now. And then you could also extend Might and Fury with your Fire 4. So you could give permanent might, permanent protection, permanent fear. Like you could just do all of the boons except for, well, and even vigor. You could have permanent vigor, which is so good on groups. People totally underestimate that. Thankfully, Mechanist can give a little bit of vigor now. But the problem is when they released EOD, they made everything 5-person target. So all of those shouts that used to give boons to 10 people now give it to 5. So essentially the efficacy of something like, oh, oops, I got caught there. The efficacy went down by half. It got annihilated. So now Tempest, Heal Tempest in particular, is effectively dead. It's just no longer good. Ah, it hurts my soul. Because I used to do it on things like Doom because it has lots of Condi clear too. Imagine a 10-person Condi clear with Wash the Pain Away, which is your heal skill, and it would heal 10 people as well. It was just so good. Oh, it's so disappointing that it's not really a thing anymore. But I'm glad I got to play it here because, hey, in this situation, this very niche situation, it's actually kind of relevant. So we did give boons to everybody, and you can see, like, just look at how good the boons are. I mean, we did just go in combat, so of course it's going to be slightly inflated by the turret thing. The offensive, whatever it's called. But still, like, we can maintain all of those. And if you give people permanent vigor, vigor regenerates your endurance by 50% or something. So that means that your dodge, you have more ability to dodge mechanics, 50% more. That is very, very good. One thing I'd like to mention about doing the Dragon's End meta is that a lot of people, for some reason, I've seen a lot of people not stack up in these big meta events. In fact, I've got a good story about this, and some of you may have heard me tell this before. But I used to run Drakkar like every day. That was my jam. I loved running Drakkar. It was so much fun. And I used to really try hard it. I would like give everybody instructions, instruct them on like, you know, what skills would be useful, you know, stand your ground, etc. And we would go for the fastest Drakkar times we possibly could. Now, however, we did discover that, well, some people are just not interested in trying to hasten things. I went and I would actually do research. I would go into other people's squads and learn how they were doing it to see if there were ways that I could do it faster. I was joining one guild, and before the event happened, they told everybody to spread out. They said, all right, when we get in the cave and we're fighting Drakkar, make sure everybody spreads out. And I thought, wait a second, isn't this totally against how boons and buffs and stuff work in Guild Wars 2? And I tried to educate them on it, like, not like, haha, I'm gonna educate you, but more like, hey, like, maybe this is some misinformation. I tried to be really casual about it, and they told me to leave the group. This is a big problem in Guild Wars 2, like a big problem. When people don't know how to communicate about sharing information in a kind way, and then people don't necessarily know how to receive feedback, even if it isn't presented in maybe the best way. Oftentimes people choose to get offended first, and I think we're all guilty of this, myself included. So, yeah, a little bit strange. I didn't know what to think. So that sort of mentality that, hey, if we just spread out, like that misunderstanding of how boons are applied, how you get buffs, where you should stand, all of that misinformation is now bleeding into this harder content, the Dragon's End meta. And that's why people are struggling so hard, is because they don't know about these things. And that's not necessarily their fault. There's just not something that's super obvious within the game that would say, yeah, you're supposed to do this. I just want to mention quickly, you probably just saw, I'm pretty sure a couple of those folks got rebounded, but I don't know if it was by me. Rebound is so good here. It's like no one's dying to any mechanics, even if they're late. Any hoozles. What do you do about that? I actually want to pose this question for the comments. What do you think can be done about this communication problem? How do we help players communicate and share information in a way that's positive for both parties? Because sometimes people react and think that people are trying to belittle them when really they're trying to help them. And on the other hand, some people legitimately are just really bad at communicating when, you know, something needs to happen, you know, like, or a change needs to be made when people are doing things incorrectly. The way that you do it is you don't freak out, right? You don't belittle or demean people. You try to make it very casual, I think. Just be like, hey, I used to do this before. But I learned that does anybody else know about that? And just try to make it just come up in conversation without being too aggressive. It's a tricky balance, I swear. It's really difficult. But what would you do? How do we help players engage with each other in a way that's meaningful and won't, well, completely frustrate either party? Because when we get to Dragon's End now, in all of my squads, I'm like, all right, everybody's stacked really hard. We're really stacked. But in other groups that I've seen, people start to panic and they kind of go everywhere and they actually die to the ads. The ads are a way bigger deal. Like right there, you saw me get knocked back by a Thorn Heart. The ads on this map are a way bigger deal than I think people realize. If you can effectively control all of the random little mobs on that platform, then people are way less likely to die. Way less likely. Now, I think this is why the Necromancer run was so easy, because we didn't even have to have anybody, like nobody got hit by any mobs ever, because Epi killed all of them instantly. And we had pulls. So should we normalize, you know, everybody trying to bring some kind of pull, some counter CC? Shocking Aura on Elementalist is actually surprisingly good for that. I was trying to put Shocking Aura out constantly. But yeah, I guess where I'm going with this is like, if you're in a public group and you really want to increase your win rate, you should encourage everyone to bring pulls and things that will help deal with the ads quickly. Counter CCs, blind is even really good. When I'm playing Engineer, I like to bring Mortar Kit and put down blind fields everywhere. And I think that might even be in the Engineer video. You might see me putting down blind fields. And the reason for that is because you want to take as little damage as possible, because if less people die, you do more damage. Less people that are laying on the ground, the more people are working. So I would suggest, if you're one of those people that's like, oh my gosh, this is like super hard and I have failed a million times, these are just a few little things that you can consider. Bring blind fields, bring counter CCs, bring pulls, bring anything that will allow you to kill mobs on the platform with relative ease. I noticed in one of, so I failed the other day. Okay, I won't get too far into that, but I did fail the other day. And I think the reason was because we just could not handle the ads in the last 3 minutes of the fight. We could not handle it. We were trying that really epic challenge and it just failed. Like, we couldn't do it. Whereas every other run that I've ever done, the ads have been a non-issue because we've just known to deal with them. But I think we take that for granted a bit. I think most players don't think about, like, you look at the platform right now, those ads are really oppressive. That Thorn Heart there is going to absolutely wreck everybody unless we have stability or unless we deal with it. And I think, like, right there, a bunch of us got knocked back. That's no damage for like 3 seconds. And then people start getting whirlpooled, and it just goes in this constant circle, right? It makes everything way harder. So I think if we normalize bringing stability, we normalize bringing blind fields, anything that helps deal with these ads faster. Like, look, we're getting absolutely pummeled because we don't have stab, right? Like, that's slightly problematic. You can just watch our group just dying and dying and dying. There's too many Thorn Hearts. We don't know what to do. I actually call out here and say, all right, kill the Thorn Heart. I'm like done with this. But then I realized that, oh yeah, I don't have any damage because I'm playing Tempest, so other people are gonna have to do it. So I target it again, and then I panic because I realize that we're about to get the wave. All those people in the whirlpool are gonna die. Things start getting out of hand. Yeah, way stations are so good. Everybody should have EMP, and this fight, I did a really poor job of having EMP all the time because, think about it, if you have 5 people in whirlpools, well, that's 5 people not doing damage. If those 5 people are your best DPS players, and they're doing, oh, I don't know, like 30k DPS, that's 150,000 DPS just gone. That's no good. Oh, guess what? We fail the CC bar here because we're getting pummeled by ads. Look at how aggressive this is. This is what we need to do to help more pickup groups. If more pickup groups knew how to deal with these ads better, I think that we'd have way more success. Because look, we're getting split up. The tail is splitting us up. The mobs are splitting us up. And the bubbles and other mechanics are splitting us up. So something must be done. But hey, we've got 12% left. I think I started to panic a bit here. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh my gosh, are we going to fail? But we can't possibly fail because we have 5 minutes left. Unless we all were to just quit. Oh yeah, fun fact, special action key works when you're in the whirlpool. That's why everybody should have it, because you can help break yourself out too. But yeah, look, like, I swear, half our squad is, like, being eaten by mechanics. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Yeah, things are good otherwise. Things are good. There was that big nerf a while back to Suwon. I think that Suwon is in a weird state now because I heard somebody else talk about this, but because they nerfed all the other mechanics, it feels like she switches sides way more. Is anyone else encountering this? And it's kind of weird because that that only increases everybody's belief that this is all RNG. And I've talked about before how there is a little bit of RNG that it can impact your win ability. Did we just fail another CC? Holy crap, does Ellie just not have any CC? I just said Ellie has a lot. Oh, maybe it's Tempest. Oh yeah, so when I play Tempest, I usually bring a paralyzation sigil, and that kind of, that does it for me. But holy, apparently, no one else brought any CC. Does Weaver have a lot of CC? I actually don't think it does. I could be wrong about that though. Regardless, we're about to kill the boss here. I just want to say that I'm going to keep doing these challenges. If you have suggestions for challenges, also include those in the comments down below. All of you want to see me fail with Untamed, so I will post that at some point when I get the courage. But otherwise, people, go out, be good, be kind to another, do good things. Don't let your dreams be memes unless that's what you're into. And most importantly, stay classy, my friends. And we'll talk to you next time, okay? I think next time I'll post Mesmer, and then maybe after that we've got Untamed. I'm also going to redo Ranger, so stay tuned for that. And if you want updates on how to get involved in this, we're on the NA server, and you can check out my Twitter. I tweet about it there. And make sure you follow me on Twitch so that you can see when I go live and we do this again, all right? Have a super good day, my friends. Take care.